perceived potential and actual potential. Except for, I was informed in my last therapy session that I am actually not supposed to view it as the fact that I can't live up to my potential. Because that's how it feels. It feels like I have limitless potential on paper, but that the actual me cannot ever live up to what is written on paper. Hi, I'm Kate. Welcome to Always Tuck and Roll, where we discuss life, the universe, and everything through the lens of autism, because autistic. It's not my only adjective, but it is a prominent adjective. Sure, we'll go with that. I've been feeling word nerdy today. That works. I'm also super tired. It's been a crazy week. I haven't been feeling well at all, so we're just gonna truck on through. I have been trying to figure out my next life steps. I've never quite been one to actually plan my future, and I don't know that I'm starting now, but I am trying to figure out direction. But I'm in this weird position where I can't do anything I've ever done before for health reasons. Mental health and physical health, shockingly. I have over 25 years of work experience at this point in time, between being a cashier, various clerical jobs, various, I am sorry if you can hear my parking lot noise. They have not stopped using the trash compactor since 6 a.m. and I've been up since then. They just do it. The fact that they fixed the trash compactor has actively been a detriment to my existence. And I know it's just because I'm hypersensitive to sound and my apartment is eye level with the parking lot, so I get to hear all of the noise all of the time. But seriously, I would love to go back to the 5 years where the trash compactor was broken and we just had trash piling up. Because as much as it smelled, and it still smells, so it's not like the compactor's making this better, it's just smaller smell as opposed to it just being everywhere. Yeah, I would rather go back to the trash heap than listen to the stupid noise all day. That's not what this is about, and I'm sorry because it went off again and it set me off. This is about the fact that I have to reinvent myself again at 40, which I guess is like a common thing for like 40, but it's not because I'm 40. I'm not having a midlife crisis. I'm having every job I've ever had has been extremely unmentally healthy for me. So how do I find a job that is not mentally unhealthy for me to do? Now, I don't know that it's all clerical work, but I would say most of the stuff you want your secretary to do is stuff I would rather be dipped in boiling oil instead of doing. And I mean like making a phone call. Yeah, I have been making phone calls for other people for most of my life, and I still absolutely hate doing it. I still sweat profusely. I have panic attacks. I can't do that anymore. I will not go back to that life. I'm tired of... Like, I get the stereotype that everyone's miserable in their job and that's work. Work isn't supposed to be fun. That's a crock, because I was a ski instructor and High Ropes Adventure Guide. Was it great all the time? No, nothing is perfect, and I had some management issues there that, I mean, let's be honest, sexual harassment happens everywhere. It doesn't matter what employment field you work in. But that was definitely a problem. Of course, given how they would talk about people of other races and things like that, I guess I shouldn't have been too shocked. But again, let's not derail what we're talking about. Oh, but that was a fun job. It was, getting paid to ski and do ropes courses and also talk really scared people through their fears, which is exhausting emotionally, but it's still better than making a phone call, at least in my opinion. Yes, I would rather do mediation for a, scared human being of any age dangling 60 feet in the air than I would to just like make a phone call of any kind. I don't like answering the phone, but I can do it, though if I don't know who's calling me, I am not answering the phone, and I might not even check the messages because I don't want to know who's calling me when I don't know who they are. Send me a text. That is how I communicate. I prefer the written word over all things. So the problem is other than being a cashier or ski instructor, harps, adventure guide, I can't get a job as anything other than clerical because apparently society only sees that as my potential. Here's the thing though, the potential I have on paper and the potential I have in real life are not the same thing because everything I've ever done has been a detriment to myself in the long run. There's a reason that I've always had a 3 to 5 year burnout period for anything that I've done. Every situation, every thing I've tried, jobs, college, everything, 3 to 5 years. And in some places less than that because they were just really, really toxic. So, and it's funny, I don't always recognize the toxicity in my life while it's happening. However, I will apparently recognize patterns and I'll get the overall toxic vibe. And my therapist actually thinks that was happening at my last job. Though I think a lot of things were happening at my last job, and I actually saw a screenshot the other day of I want to say, yeah, it was Twitter. And yes, I'm going to call it that because I refuse to call it X. I don't care. If the person who decided to change the name respected other people's name changes and pronoun changes, maybe I would accept their, but I don't, so, but they didn't, so I won't, so that's all I'm going to say on that. Anyway, the post read, being high functioning is cool. It's like being disabled and everyone ignores your problems to the point of pretending they don't exist. So if you're struggling at all, it's your fault and it's offensive to people with disabilities. And that is pretty much what it was like working for vocational rehabilitation as someone with autism. Of course, that screenshot had, someone commented with a quote from Devin Price. Once you've proven yourself capable of suffering in silence, neurotypical people tend to expect you to be able to do it forever, no matter the cost. And that is definitely what was happening to me at my last job. Because the second I had my formal diagnosis, everything I did was scrutinized to a higher level. Everything, any problems I had, any complaints I had, ones that I'd had for years, suddenly it was so much worse for me. Not that the problems, which are actual problems that people are still suffering from because they are not. There's not enough manpower to go around. I didn't even have enough time to document everything that I did. So I hope the person who ran me off and then got all of my jobs is living her best life. I know she's not. She's miserable. And there's a little bit of Schadenfreude here, saying, good, I'm glad you're miserable. Sorry, I had a massive PTSD episode yesterday over work, so I'm trying to not ruminate too hard. So let's cut that last train of thought off at the past and go to the overall arcing concept here of, it's not that I want to reinvent myself. It's that I need to find a way to convince, or first I have to find a field I'd want to join, and then I have to convince people to let me join it in a non-clerical kind of way. I have lots of other skills. I have like a weirdly well-rounded skill set of stuff because I'm a jack of all trades and a master of none. But it's just, I just don't know what to do next. Like, I would love to be self-employed, except for I do not think that I actually have that level of motivational capability, sustainability, because more and more, especially as I get older, I will find myself hyper fixed on a thing, and then the second the passion just dissipates, it's gone, and it might as well stop. I have so many different things I'd want to start, but I haven't done much of anything. I mean, cleaning yesterday was huge, and it wasn't like this place was dirty, but we have a lot of like 10-second tidy holes, and they all needed to be cleaned out because we're going to have company at the end of the month for the holidays, and it would be nice if we looked like fully formed adults as opposed to just to people who've lived in an apartment for a really long time and have run out of place to stick stuff. Both are true. Realistically, both are true. We're also contemplating moving, or we're going to move probably in 6 months. So we'll be living in a less suburban environment. We'll be living in what Pete lovingly refers to as the Green Triangle portion of our state. Sorry. And we'll be in a downtown area where I'll be able to walk to different places. So potentially I'll just hold off and wait until I can go work in a small downtown store. Though I have to be careful because, like, small downtown stores, especially like the holidays, we love to have our holiday festive scents, and I can't go into a lot of stores right now. You know what it's like to be allergic to cinnamon at Christmas? Or cinnamon and nutmeg and ginger and everything in pumpkin spice, which is probably those things. I don't know, because it just makes my face feel melty and itchy and burny and stuff. Sorry. Like I said, I have not been feeling well since like Saturday. It's not like the flu, I don't know. It's just general whatever. Though that is going around, so, cover your mouth when you cough and don't touch a lot of surfaces when you're out in the world. Do all the healthy sanitary stuff. The stuff we were like really harping on 5 years ago that people were like, oh, hygiene? That will save us? Yes, hygiene. It's amazing. Wash your hands, cover your mouth, stay away from sick people. Wow, yes, okay. For a second, I completely lost my entire train of thought and could not, for the life of me, remember what I had been talking about at all. But this was ultimately about perceived potential and actual potential. Except for, I was informed in my last therapy session that I am actually not supposed to view it as the fact that I can't live up to my potential. Because that's how it feels. It feels like I have limitless potential on paper, but that the actual me cannot ever live up to what is written on paper. And it feels that way. It really feels that way. It's one of the things that I'm having to unlearn as I deconstruct my past to better understand my current and my future. Sometimes the whole one of my special interests is cults, and specifically people leaving cults. I find it fascinating, but listening to their deconstruction processes, especially if they were raised in a really high control group, it sounds so much like the realization process you go through when you're late diagnosed autistic. I have heard my exact thought streams come out of complete strangers who've lived wildly different life experiences than me, but have landed in the same mental conclusions after deconstructing very similar problems, despite the fact that they learned those toxic behaviors and thoughts in a cult, and I learned them by trying to survive in a society that does not understand me and refuses to. And isn't that a fascinating way to like link the human condition all together? Because yeah, it turns out that all of our differences are still kind of similar. Like the human experience is as varied as it is how similar as it is. And I love and hate that notion because I mean, it's hard to say you don't want everyone to have the same like level of trauma and to be overcoming stuff all the time. But I guess you don't get the good without the bad, or you don't see the good if you don't see bad. I don't know. It would just be easier if everything was straightforward, but nothing is, and that's frustrating. So, I still don't know what my plan is. I still very well could find something to do online that isn't being phased out by AI or wouldn't be still increasingly detrimental to my mental health. The one thing staying home does is generally limits me from doing something that is damaging to my physical health, like high ropes adventure guiding, probably ski instruction. I don't know what happens if I fall on my wrists again, but the last doctor I saw was like very, very insistent that I did not fall on my arms anymore, so TBD what happens there. So yeah, something to ruminate on through the holidays. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you have more coherent thoughts than anything that's just happened in the past 15 or so minutes. And that you find some peace and sanity in all of the chaos that constantly surrounds every single person, be it during the holidays or just because life is complicated. And when all else fails, don't forget to just chuck and roll. But it's not because I'm 40. I'm not having a midlife crisis.